Welcome to No Flipping Excuses with Jason Lucchese. Jason Lucchese was the guy voted least likely to succeed by his high school peers. Today, Jason's a real estate flipping ninja Jedi Knight assassin who's taken his drive, street smarts, and never give up attitude and converted them into a real estate flipping business and freedom-based lifestyle. After years of being chained to a cubicle in the mortgage business, watching his coworkers go bust, customers go bankrupt, and his hairline go bye-bye, Jason decided to make a change and blaze his trail to the flipping promised land. Each episode, Jason shares real-life real estate case studies, tips on how to find, finance, and flip deals, and mindset tactics he uses every day as a real estate investor, mentor, and leader so you can free yourself from the shackles of corporate America, fire your boss, and live the life you've always dreamed of, right flipping now. Here to share the truth about flipping houses, finding sellers, delivering buyers, real estate investing without the reality show hype, and all-around general business badassery, your host, Krav Maga enthusiast, husband, and father of three, Jason Lucchese.
Hey there, what's going on? It's Jason Lucchese with the No Flipping Excuses show. Welcome. Hey, if this is your first time, welcome to the No Flipping Excuses show. So glad to have you here. We're in store here. We've got a great show planned ahead. Like I said, if you're brand new, make sure you listen to this episode. If you're watching it, awesome. But make sure you go to iTunes and subscribe. And also leave us a 5-star review if you feel like we've deserved it. If not, the Chief Ninja Officer, Mr. Michael Bretthauer, is going to come over and karate chop you. That's not going to be good. But in all seriousness, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave us a 5-star review. If you are returning, you're returning because you love the show, and we're receiving tons of feedback on the show. We are starting to have some of the team of No Flipping Excuses come on. It's not just me. So it's not just me. It's not Mike, either, the Chief Ninja Officer of this thing. And with me right now, I've got my good friend and also team member of No Flipping Excuses with me out of Draper, Utah, Mr. Dustin Shilcox of Dustin Shilcox Foundation, is also No Flipping Excuses. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, brother. This is awesome. Love the show. Thanks for having me on here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, how could I not have you be a part of the show when you're a part of No Flipping Excuses?
Yeah, I guess, of course, I got to be there, being the main star, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, with if you haven't been following me on Facebook here, you haven't probably seen all the pictures that we've been taking with the team. And if you haven't been seeing those pictures, you wouldn't know that one of the main whys to a lot of what we do here, if you see my t-shirt right here, the No Flipping Excuses part, Dustin is in a wheelchair, and I don't want to tell his story. I want him to tell his story because it's quite unique, and how we have all kind of come together from this. It's truly remarkable, and we're going to be getting into some stuff here on why we are all together and why this is going to be such a huge movement. So, Dustin, kind of tell people a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'll take it from the beginning. I'm 33 years old now. Back when I was 26 years old, I was a normal guy, just working hard, trying to make a good living. And I was the kind of person that loved to work hard but play harder. I loved the mountains. I loved all outdoor sports. I loved any kind of activities. And it was a normal day. I went to work, and I was driving from one store to another, just delivering some materials. And I had a tire blowout. When the tire blew out, it sucked me into the median. I got caught in that cable fencing, and it rolled the vehicle over. And unfortunately, I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so I was ejected out the window, and that's where everything changed for me. I had a lot of injuries. I broke my back. I broke 4 ribs. Both my lungs collapsed. I shattered my left elbow. My sternum broke, and I had a brain injury. So it was definitely a rough road from the beginning, just learning on how my new life was going to be.
Yeah.
And And then, that's kind of the story, like the start of how it happened. I mean, that's where my whole life changed. And it's been a long journey, which I'm sure we can get into, talking about all the, how I got to where I was at. But after years of being in a wheelchair and learning all the struggles and all the different things that people really don't know about that someone in a wheelchair faces, I slowly started to use my experiences and what I've gone through. I said, you know what, I want to try to change and help other people who are going through the situation right now, or maybe someone, because brand new, like every 45 minutes, someone gets paralyzed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in wheelchairs. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and I wanted to start my foundation to help people out. And then one day, so I'm at the gym, and normally I like to work out and stuff like that, and I'm getting weights, but I see this guy next to me, and I'm like, hey, can you grab some weights for me? He goes and picks up my weights, and it was Chad. So you guys probably know Chad. He's part of the team with No Flipping Excuses. And I started telling about what I do with the foundation, and he started telling me about what he does in real estate. And then he started telling me about his team with Brad and, of course, Jason here. And, the more we started talking about how we could kind of mix these two platforms, it's kind of where No Flipping Excuses began. And, the rest is history as we're putting this together. But that's kind of the basis of how it all started for me.
No, yeah, man. It's and when we started discussing all of this on the phone, because they live in Utah, I'm in Indiana, I didn't really have a whole lot of knowledge behind it, because I personally don't know a lot of people in wheelchairs. But when I came out to Utah and we filmed some scenes for our upcoming TV show, I was completely caught off guard, because I didn't understand all of the things. And when I say things, I mean all of the things to make a better quality of life for somebody that has a disability or they're in a wheelchair. I was completely blown away with all the things that a lot, like, the houses don't have. And we went on a TV show, I believe, that day that I was there, and you were really opening my eyes to things that a lot of these homes really, they are lacking, especially for folks that do have a disability or are in a wheelchair.
Yeah. And something, you just brought up right there that we talk about is people in wheelchairs have struggles. And, and I think that most people think it's kind of like, they just need accessibility into their homes and stuff like that. But there's so much more. And as a matter of fact, just last weekend, Jason here, if you go to No Flipping Excuses on Facebook, he did a live video. We were inside my house, and my house is nowhere near to be accessible. But we did a Facebook Live on how I go in and out of my house and how I come down the stairs. And, I know people, and that's the thing. People, when something happens, like when you have a disability, when you have some kind of adversity dealing with your life, I mean, you can't just say, okay, well, now I'm in a wheelchair, or I have spina bifida, or whatever the case is, whatever your disability is. When that hits you, you just can't say, all right, you know what, now I want my house to be accessible like that. I mean, that's not an option for a lot of people. And with No Flipping Excuses, what we're doing here, that's what we're doing. We're changing lives. We're going to better the quality of life for somebody who can't, financially afford this. And the thing about it is, we might not be able to change their entire house the way they want it to, but we can improve their life. If right now they're struggling just to get into one part of their house, like maybe they can't get in, maybe they're confined to one room. If we can make it to where they can get to the kitchen, maybe use the bathroom better, maybe even if they have an outside deck that we can make more accessible, that's what the goal is. I mean, we're basically working on trying to improve someone's quality of life, because there are so many things that we can do, but we obviously can't we can't renovate everyone's entire home, but we might be able to do that one thing that will just change their life with a positive way. It's great. I mean, it's so cool that we're actually, that I experienced a life like this, and then I've met, Chad, Jason, and Brad here in the real estate industry, and they have such a knowledge of, housing and what to do and how to actually raise money to make this happen. People can make donations to help us with our goal if we're trying to put all this together. Like I said, we're not necessarily going to go renovate an entire house. We're just trying to improve people's quality of life, and it's a simple thing that people really don't even think about.
No, that's true. And what we're going to be discussing here on the show is a lot more with Dustin on, the things that he has to do on a daily basis that a lot of us kind of take for, it's the able-bodied folks that, kind of not take advantage of, but take for granted. And we're going to also discuss some of the things that, you can do right now for some of your homes as a real estate investor to make them wheelchair and also disability friendly, because not even like the ADA standards really are, in my opinion, not the best, because they still lack some of the things that, from an interior standpoint, really aren't there. So we're going to be discussing that here in just a minute. So stay tuned, stay in your seat, because we're going to be here with Dustin Shilcox, and we're going to be going over some great things. So stay seated. We'll be right back.
Have you been struggling to close your first real estate deal? I hear this all the time, and you're not the only person in the not having closed your first deal boat. I was there, and the feeling is horrible. I can tell you on page 103 of my book, Right Flipping Now, I address how you can easily overcome closing your first deal quickly and easily without using any of your own money or credit. My first deal closed when I was on vacation. I made $26,000. You can do the same thing. Grab a copy of my book at getmyflippingbook.com and you can get your first deal closed for massive profits. I have copies of my book available at getmyflippingbook.com, and you can have a step-by-step plan for making profits on your first deal, closing within the next 30 to 60 days. Go to getmyflippingbook.com. That's getmyflippingbook.com. www.getmyflippingbook.com.
Hey there, it's Jason Lucchese, and welcome back to the No Flipping Excuses show. I am joined by a good friend, a good team member of the No Flipping Excuses, and it's Dustin Shilcox out of the Draper, Utah area. And we've been discussing some of the things. For those of you that don't know, Dustin is in a wheelchair. He had an accident at the age of 26 that left him paralyzed from the chest down, so lower part of the chest down, and this guy's doing some amazing things. So Dustin, let me ask you this, because this is obviously, we've talked a lot about on episodes previous to yours, a lot about real estate investing. So this show is going to be a little bit different because, you're in a wheelchair, you're doing a lot of the real estate stuff with us. We just filmed a pilot to where we were inside one of the homes we're renovating. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this: it took you a little bit to get to where you are now, but what made you not want to throw in the towel and just be like, feel like a victim with your accident, and what made you, the person that you are now?
Well, for me personally, it's like when I was in the hospital and this all happened to me, it's a shocker. You're going through having to take on all of this that you're never going to be able to walk again. Plus, I have a shattered elbow trying to do therapy on my arm. I had spent a year and a half in speech therapy because of my brain injury.
Oh, geez.
So there was a lot of stuff that I did at the beginning that was kind of just therapy. But then all of a sudden, like when you get out of the hospital, when you're released and you go home, that's kind of when reality starts sitting in. And I realized that my life was changed, and all the things that I used to do. Matter of fact, I have, before my accident, I had a duplex and another house that I had bought for real estate investment to obviously rent out and renovate and flip.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I was getting into. But when this happened, it was like I'm thinking my whole life's over. I can't get back into that stuff, and now I have to figure out what I'm going to do. And at the time, honestly, I didn't want to do anything. I sat in an apartment for about 8 months in depression, really didn't do anything. It was kind of a point in your life where, like you said, I mean, I wanted to give up, but there's nothing I could do. I mean, I did work hard. I'd go to therapy, and I worked hard because all I wanted to do was walk again. I wanted my life back. And then after a year of doing everything I could, and at the end of the day, I hadn't made any progress as far as getting mobility back, feeling back, any kind of sensation. So, everything that I had going for me was still pointing in the wrong direction. I just hadn't have any motivation to get out of there. And then for me, what really set me apart was at the same time when I got paralyzed, I was applying for any kind of way to fix me. And I got accepted to be in this spinal cord research study. It was going on in Louisville, Kentucky. And I fit the criteria perfect where they said, hey, if you want to be involved in this spinal cord research, you have to move to Louisville for 2 years and take part in the study. And I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to go down there and do this. I'll get my legs back and I'll start walking again. Boom. I had some motivation there. But as I slowly did this transition, as I was down there, as I was getting this therapy, as I was getting this research, I'd seen some positive stuff happen because of the research. But I realized, as I was doing this, I see other people kind of going through the same situation, and they realized, everyone just wanted my opportunity. They wanted to be where I was at. I was so lucky to be in this research. And then it slowly changed my way of thinking. Of course I want to walk again. I want my life back. I wanted everything back. But now I realize I can use my platform. I can use what I'm doing to help other people stay focused and give them a reason to believe. Because I know what it's like when you're in the dark places, when you don't have a reason to get out of bed. And so I kept pushing myself forward to obviously walk again, but now it's really more on inspiring other people to, do something with their situation. Because at the end of the day, you can't do what everyone can say, everything they want to help you. They can do as much as they can to help you. But no matter what happens, nothing's going to change until you physically and mentally start doing it yourself. I mean, it can't be done for you. So until you get that motivation to do something, that's when you'll start becoming successful. And no one's self-made. You're not going to do it all by yourself, but you have to make that first initial strive to try. You have to start doing it. And then all of a sudden, as you begin trying again, you start new things, that's when opportunities will present themselves. That's when you'll start getting the opportunity to do things that you never thought was possible. Like we were saying earlier, my goal to walk again, is still there. That's where I want to be. I want to walk again. But along the way, for me to get there, I'm doing so many other things that were not even in my idea. It wasn't a plan of mine at all. And it's just because of not giving up and wanting to keep pushing forward.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And for folks that don't know, Dustin was originally a part of this spinal cord research study. You were one of 4 people to be accepted initially, correct?
Yeah, I was the 4th person in the world to go through this. So there's 3 guys ahead of me, and and as of today, I think there's only a total of 13 of us. This is still brand new stuff. They're learning things now, but it's a big deal. It's really cool what they're doing with technology right now for people with spinal cord injuries.
No, yeah, it is. And for those that don't know, but Dustin, it's a stimulator. And when Dustin, correct me if I'm wrong, once you activate it, it allows you to actually stand, and it gets you in a position to where you could balance yourself, and just you could be standing with your own legs.
Yeah, so yeah, that's exactly right. I have a stimulator. I have a remote. It's internally implanted inside me. When I turn it on, and that's cool too. I mean, how many guys that that can turn themselves on, right?
Right, exactly.
So when I turn myself on, though, it stimulates the spinal cord, and that gives that message to my leg. I mean, it stimulates my spinal cord, and I can actually stand up under my own power, under my own muscles. I mean, my balance is not very good, so I need something to hang on to, but I can stand there. And, that's a great thing, but even more positive for that, it improves my bone density. It stops atrophy.
Yeah.
It just improves my overall health. So there are a lot more things. I mean, standing is really cool, especially when I'm not supposed to be able to do that. The doctor said I'd never stand. So when I'm able to stand, that's definitely cool. But it's really it's more positive for people to think that my overall health, this is improving my quality of life just for my health benefit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because would you say, like, by having that stimulator, it also allows additional blood circulation to those extremities?
Yeah, exactly. It helps the blood flow, the circulation, all that kind of stuff. I mean, everything that you're getting while you're standing, besides the ability for me to stand and feel, I'm getting that. And when I'm laying down, I actually can move my legs, my toes, my ankles. I mean, so just by that, you're getting the movement. You're getting stuff that is, that's not a cure for spinal cord injuries yet. But right now, that's a way to stay healthy. So when a cure does come, you'll be more ready for it. And that's what I try to tell people. It's like not about trying to walk again today. I mean, of course you want to try and walk again today, but you also, that's about taking care of yourself right now. You have to focus on the moment. It's no different than anyone else and their struggle or whatever they have. If you want to be a real estate investor, you want to have all these homes, you want to be this guru in that realm, you have to first start by doing the research. You got to begin. You just don't all of a sudden become an entrepreneur and this huge successful person. It's really about, starting, whether if I go out and looking for help, for me, it's like going to therapy, it's going taking care of yourself, and it slowly starts to progress. And it's the same in any other situation. It's really about doing something with what you have to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for Dustin, it's just absolutely amazing the things the guy does. Like, if you check out that video I did, which we posted up on the No Flipping Excuses Facebook page, the guy goes up and down the stairs. I'm just like blown away. I'm like, I want to step in and help. But it's crazy. Like the things some of us take for granted. Dustin's just living the life, no flipping excuses. He gets up into his monster truck, can drive. It's literally there's nothing holding this guy back. There's no ceiling. He wants to do it. He makes it happen. And that's what I wanted Dustin to come on here and talk and speak. Because some of us, that get involved in real estate, it's difficult, it's hard, it's challenging. But Dustin, what would you say to some of these folks, especially you were in a position to where you just got home from the hospital, the realization's just setting in. You, I'm assuming, were extremely uncomfortable in your new position. How did you get yourself to feeling comfortable being uncomfortable?
That takes time, and I'll be honest with you, it's not like it's 100% now. It's still something that I battle every day. It's not like it's going to be, you're not just all going to sudden be like, you know what, I want to be this positive, I want to be, comfortable where I'm at. It's really about taking those first steps and getting there. I can't honestly pinpoint to the point like where I feel that I'm that person. I think, like you said, it's really about, it's going to be hard. It's admitting, it's about being realistic about what it is. It's not going to be just this easy path. It's not going to be sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be a bitter, hard, cold time, and you're going to have every reason why you want to give up. But that's what makes reaching your goals so rewarding. When you're doing things that people didn't think was possible, when you're doing stuff that everyone else, tells you it can't be done. That's what sets people apart, and that's how you become more of, a better person in yourself when you prove things wrong to other people. It's just kind of, it's really believing in yourself too. There's a lot of things that come into that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be, a level of faith in yourself that you're telling yourself you can do this and you can make this happen. And there truly is no obstacles. You defy that daily. People probably told you. I remember seeing in one of your videos the doctors probably told you wouldn't be able to do this, you won't be able to do that, but you pretty much took all that, threw it out the window, and said, "Screw that! I'm not gonna allow some doctor to tell me how to live my life. I'm gonna defy those odds and overcome whatever I need to live the life that I truly want to live."
Yeah. But, that's a good point. You say that, and I think about it. It's really funny. The doctors say you can't do this, you can't do that, and it's no different than anything else. When people say you can't do something, I think there's a fine line. It doesn't mean, they said I can't buy 50 houses. Well, yes, I can. You don't go out and buy 50 houses. You got to be, there's also being, doctors are trying to keep your safety on things too. So it's like being smart about it, but also it's not letting them say, all right, well, this can't happen. It's like you said, faith, and people think about faith. They're always thinking about religion. People think about that, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
When we're talking about faith, believing in yourself, because that's what faith is. Believing in, if you have a mindset and you have a goal you're trying to get to, that's when you'll be successful, is when you believe in yourself, when you have faith in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
And for you were put in this position. You probably didn't have any other place to go. For a lot of us as entrepreneurs, just getting started, some of us Chad and I talked about this in a previous episode of not having a backup plan. You should never really set in place, hey, I'm going to have this backup plan, because you're always going to be half in the doorway and half out the doorway, and you're never going to be fully committed. And for you, let's talk about that. You had to be fully committed to your therapy and getting yourself to where you are now, or else, because for those of you seeing Dustin right now, the guy's a machine. He goes to the gym all the time. He's got these bowling ball shoulders. He's a big dude. And looking at some of the videos I saw from like a few years ago, you've put on a lot of mass over the years, and I would assume that's helped you quite a bit with getting up and down the stairs, being able to pull yourself into your truck, into your car, all that kind of stuff. If you would have allowed yourself to have a backup plan, do you think you would be where you are today?
Not at all. Actually, it's funny you said. So at the beginning of my, transition in my life when I got paralyzed, my plan was to walk again, and that was it. And that's why I had depression. That's why I had all these reasons to give up. But when you said that, like when you start having all these other backup plans, and for me, it was the simple things at first. Before my accident, I drove around a big lifted truck. When I first got paralyzed, I didn't have the strength, nor did I have the know-how, because I had no core muscle. I didn't have my legs. I didn't know how to get myself in a big truck. So I actually ended up buying a little small car. It was a Dodge Journey, and that was something about level with me where I could transfer into and drive. And so that's what I had to kind of start to. But, one day I wanted to drive a big truck again. And so, my plans, I have to get stronger. So I started working out. And then I ended up upgrading to a Toyota Tacoma, which is a little bit bigger. Then I sold that, and then I have a Chevy Duramax with a 6-inch lift on it, and I feel better about myself. But that's just one other plan I'm talking about. But I also, when I said I changed my focus on not just walking again, that's when I started the Dustin Shillcox Foundation. I started, helping other people. I started becoming more of a public speaker figure. I started talking. I was a spokesperson for the Christopher Reeve Foundation, and then I became an ambassador for Red Bull with Wings for Life. And then I started doing things with Gold's Gym. I started selling my own clothing line. But then when you start getting into all these other things, get all these different plans, my goal to walk again is still the main focus. Not main, I shouldn't say main focus. It's still that's what I want. That's my ultimate goal. I want to walk again. But with all these other plans I had, it developed, more opportunities, more things happening. So like you said, sometimes you're working hard trying to walk again, and things I'm not making that progress I want to, then I go work on the foundation. You have other things to get to, and then more ideas come up. It's funny you say that. So with all this happening, And look where I'm at now. Then all of a sudden, No Flipping Excuses joins up with the Dustin Shillcox Foundation, and now we are starting off a huge, exciting adventure for something that I had nothing in my plans as of a year ago. And you never even thought of something like this, but it's because of all these other plans that I had, backup plans, all these other irons in the fire to keep it rolling. If you have one set goal, one set plan, you're definitely, I don't say you're gonna fail, but it's a lot harder.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And for when I got started as a real estate investor, I invested in about $40,000 in different training programs, and that was money I didn't have. And I had all these different training programs, and it was like you said, the irons in the fire. I was just like, I couldn't really focus on one individual program. And it wasn't until I started becoming successful that I just started focusing on one particular strategy. And that's when things really started to happen. And it's like the same thing in all avenues in life. So one of the things that I want to get to with Dustin here in just a second, we're going to discuss some additional things in order to make homes wheelchair accessible, and also for folks that have disabilities, make the homes that much better, to give people a better quality of life. We're going to be discussing some of the things that you can do if you have rental properties, or if you're planning on doing fix and flips. We're going to discuss some of the things that a lot of people don't know, especially with having these homes available right now on the market. So Dustin's been great. We're going to be going over some additional stuff here with Dustin. So stay tuned. You do not want to miss what we've got in store here. So be right back.
I hear from real estate investors how much of a challenge it is finding motivated sellers. This is happening all over the country. Real estate investors not knowing where their next deal will come from. I can tell you on page 141 of my book, Right Flipping Now, I address how you can easily find deeply discounted off-market deals. The 98% of investors out there don't have a clue about this. You can easily duplicate this process within your own business today. Grab a copy of my book now at getmyflippingbook.com, and you can start finding deals for 50, 40, and 30 cents on the dollar without any competition. I have copies of my book available right now at getmyflippingbook.com, and you can have a step-by-step plan for making profits within the next 30 to 60 days. Go to getmyflippingbook.com. That's getmyflippingbook.com. It's www.getmyflippingbook.com.
Hey there, it's Jason Lucchese, and welcome back to the No Flipping Excuses show. I'm with my good friend Dustin Shillcox of the Dustin Shillcox Foundation, and we've merged together, joined together. He's part of the No Flipping Excuses team as well. As you can see with my shirt here, we've got these shirts. We're going to have them available for you to purchase on our noflippingexcuses.com website, and all of it's going towards donations. So any profit that's made, it's all going towards donations. So we'll talk about that here soon. But if you've been listening, Dustin has been going over some incredible things. He's overcome some major feats in his life, and he's just doing some things that not a lot of people go through. We've been talking about homes. We've been talking about Dustin's story, how he's inspiring lots of people, tens of thousands of people, if not hundreds of thousands of people. And one of the things that we wanted to bring to light is homes, right, Dustin? We wanted to talk about homes. As of right now, the research that we've done, there's less than 1% out of the market are considered wheelchair accessible homes. And the thing that we wanted to do with No Flipping Excuses, Dustin, is really bring this to light, because why do you think there's not a lot of these homes available for folks in wheelchairs? I'm kind of just, when I found out the research, I was a little set back. I was like, wow, why aren't there more of these homes available?
That's a good question. I have no idea. It's really, Matt, it's just it's something people don't think about. I mean, for everyone listening right now, I've never been to anyone's houses, obviously. Never even been to your house, Jason. But
You will be.
You have some stairs. I'll bet you got stairs to get into your house.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Somewhere.
We do.
And that's only one thing we're talking about are the stairs. Other things that people don't realize depend, and so every situation is different. That's why with no flipping excuses, as we're going through this, we'll obviously use me as a guinea pig. Because we can talk about myself. I'm very open about, anything about my injury, how I can do this. I mean, I think it's really cool to talk about the struggles from, bowel, bladder, sexual function. That becomes an issue with bathrooms, kitchen. And when you can use my story, we can go on film and literally film me and talk about the struggles, talk about why I can do this or why I can't do that. And the goal is, to educate people on the way I live. And now remembering, though, that that's how I do it. Everyone's different, though. So if I can use a bathroom this way, it doesn't mean someone with the same injury can do that, or they might be able to do more. Maybe they don't need what I need. So it's really being open-minded about how this is going. And that's why we want to use me as a platform for, you guys, as you have Jason, Chad, and Brad. So with these guys, they are totally free to ask, and I don't want to say make fun, but joke with my situation, and be fun to educate and create awareness, because that's why we're going to use my story and me for this, because a lot of people in wheelchairs, a lot of people with disabilities, and we're all like that. We'll treat them and we'll be very kind to their disability, because we don't know what they're going through mentally, physically, financially. So we want to respect everyone and help them. And that's exactly why these guys can torture me, and we'll be kind to everyone else. We'll definitely respect them, but we will learn about how we can help them out. But everyone's has questions. Everyone is always wondering something. So if there's something somebody wants to say or ask, by all means, fire it at me, and we can slowly get to know somebody, and we might be able to bring out something they want to answer, or maybe they don't want to talk about it. But that's the goal. And like you were saying, we go into these houses, and there's just none of them out there that are accessible.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about accessibility, like we were saying, people think about a ramp, but you're also talking about showers. Now, some people are in power chairs. Some people, may need an assistant, someone to help them. So there's going to be, they need more room. There's kitchens. You're talking about countertops. We need places where they can reach the counter. Cupboards. There's living rooms. Think about, I've been in some friends' living room where you got the couches, you got two couches sit this way. Can you fit a wheelchair into the living room, because you have the fireplace here, the couch on this side, and you actually can't fit in there. There's a lot of things that you just don't really think about until someone's in there. And then another thing that there's just all kinds of small things. Like, if we would go to your house in the middle of winter and it's snowing, everyone goes in there, they all usually take their shoes off. Well, you're not going to take your wheelchair off because it's going to have snow all over them. So, I've gone to people's houses before in the wintertime where I'll hurry up and roll into the kitchen, and we'll kind of put a towel down and I'll drip on it and, basically melt in the kitchen. And it's just another thing. And that's not really accessibility, but those are things that people deal with. But I'm just saying, you go into your house, and on the main level, you have a kitchen, a living room, a dining room, a pad. Well, there's no bathroom. Maybe you have to go to another level for a bathroom. So there's all kinds of things, like you were talking about, with accessibility, and none of them are available out there.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Like, I think a lot of the homes that we really would love, one of the goals that we want to do with No Flipping Excuses is eventually do a home giveaway. And the home that I envision, and I think you and I spoke about this, Dustin, is getting a home that's a ranch style, have it on a block frame, make sure everything's one level, because that would be like the perfect ideal home for somebody, is if we went in there and did everything and it was just all one floor. You wouldn't have to worry about getting in and out of the house. Everything would be accessible. But unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect society. There's, like Tiffany, for example, out of Chicago. It's a city that was built hundreds of years ago, and that's old construction. So she's living in an area that's she's got a worse condition, not condition, but the severity of her injury, isn't it? What's above the chest? That's C, correct?
Yes. So she's a quadriplegic, but and things with like that. So here's a thing that we can shout out. Like, so when someone has a spinal cord injury, they call you complete or incomplete, and that means, so I'm a complete, which means my injury level, I haven't had any gains of sensation, movement. It's been the same since the day I wrecked. And then you have incomplete, which means if you've got just as much as move a toe or have feeling, depends on it. So some of it's starting to come back. That's incomplete. And but yes, Tiffany, she's up there, and I know she's an incomplete, but she's still confined to a power chair, and that's, you're right. She's up there dealing with her life as a quadriplegic.
Right, and when we talked to her on the phone when we were in there, because she's somebody that we want to talk to and see if we can help give her a better quality of life, is she actually has to move out of Chicago to a town called Wheaton, which is about 30 minutes away, depending on traffic. If it's traffic time, it's probably going to be a solid hour to get to Wheaton, just because Chicago traffic's, it's not as bad as Los Angeles, but it gets pretty bad.
Yeah.
So she even told us, and this is something for you investors to keep in mind, especially when dealing with, if you want to do a home remodel and maybe rent out to somebody that's in a wheelchair. She told us the unit that she was moving into is wheelchair accessible, but what they failed to do is they put stackable washer and dryer units in there. So that's obviously not going to work. Some of the things that I spoke to you about, Dustin, that you enlightened me on, is just using like the European style washer and dryer, where it's like a 2-in-1, and it's one level, so you don't have to worry about trying to reach all the way up to the top unit. Those are some of the things too. Like for somebody like her, she said she had to worry about getting out of the bed, getting into the shower, and not a lot of these units are accessible that way. So doing some of these things for folks is going to be very rewarding. And like you said, Dustin, every 45 minutes, somebody becomes paralyzed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it's 2 million people per year are paralyzed.
I think, 2 million people are paralyzed a year, or I put to a wheelchair. And so, but and you're talking about, and that's one disability. We're talking about people with paralysis. There are so many other disabilities that we ourselves are not aware of. I mean, we're aware of, we hear about them, but we've just got to, that's going to be the great thing about this No Flipping Excuses. We'll have people apply, we'll draw their names, and when we get their story, we can read about it. We'll reach out to that person, contact them. And when you're talking about homes right now being ADA compliant, that's kind of like a gray area. We'll have to get to know this person, find out how they are, how their mobility is, what they exactly need more help with for accessibility, and that's where we come in to change that for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I wanted to discuss here with Dustin is some of the things that he's doing to reach out and have his platform out there, and then we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the ways that we plan on reaching out to the masses as well. And I wanted to discuss with you guys here in just a second an opportunity to where you could come and meet Dustin in person, hear his story in person, because we're not covering the whole thing. We don't have a whole lot of time to cover it. Plus, we'll have a little bit of Q&A as well, because I'll tell you when I first went out there to Utah to meet Dustin, I had a ton of questions. Just because I didn't understand it. It's obviously Christopher Reeve, big name. Everybody knew him from being the guy who played Superman. He was in a bunch of other movies as well, but we all kind of knew him, and we know the the individual. I'm drawing a blank here right now on my own on my own dime here, but the big guy, the professor, he's like supposed to be the Einstein of our time, and he's confined in a wheelchair.
I know what you're talking about. Now you made me think. Forgot his name.
Yes, Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
So, those are some of the names that a lot of people have come to mind, and those are obviously very severe. What was Christopher Reeve was it neck and below?
Yeah. Yeah, he was also quadriplegic, but he's and I don't know 100%, and this is not exactly right, but I know he was in a power chair. He couldn't move his hand, he couldn't move his fingers. And he was a high quadriplegic where he was just in a sip and puff chair to get around. I mean, those are the things that people don't realize, on the high of an injury. I mean, it's things like that are where we'll have to learn more about someone's injury to help them out. Yeah, that's Christopher Reeve, amazing guy. I mean, I personally never met him, but what his mission was to find a cure for spinal cord injuries, and he was a part of a research that's where after he passed away, me and these three other guys, we kind of picked up where he left off, and that's where we're at. I mean, the research I'm a part of was all because of Christopher Reeve and the Christopher Reeve Foundation. It's an amazing organization, and where they started, that's, the cure to paralysis is coming through there.
Absolutely. And we're going to discuss more of that here in just a second. So this is some really great motivation. This is like so inspiring, so motivational. Dustin's been sharing some awesome stuff here with us, and we're going to be sharing some more here. So stay tuned. We've got an amazing opportunity that we want to let you know about as well. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you facing a roadblock with getting started in real estate? This is an obstacle a lot of brand new investors face. Building a rock-solid foundation is key to building your investing empire. I can tell you on page 95 of my book, Right Flipping Now, I address how you can build a lasting foundation that won't topple over when you're on the third floor. Do not avoid laying the proper foundation for your business. I've made this drop dead simple for you to just rip off and use within your own real estate investing business. Grab a copy of my book now at getmyflippingbook.com, and you can have the confidence you need to find and flip deals consistently month after month. I have copies of my book available at getmyflippingbook.com, and you can have a step-by-step proven plan for making profits on your very first deal, or maybe that second deal, closing within the next 30 to 60 days. Go to getmyflippingbook.com. Getmyflippingbook.com.
Hey there, it's Jason Lucchese, and welcome back to the No Flipping Excuses show. I am extremely excited that you're here with us right now. We've been covering some amazing information with my good friend Dustin Shilcox. If you're just listening right now, we've been discussing some of the things with what No Flipping Excuses is. Dustin was in an accident when he was 26, leaving him paralyzed from the lower chest down. And we've been discussing some of the things that he's been facing ever since then, and how some of it relates to individuals just starting out as a real estate investor, as a business owner. And the things that Dustin's doing is, sky's the limit. And we just left off with talking about the Christopher Reeve Foundation there. And Dustin, let's discuss. You've been talking for Wings of Life, which is, that's Red Bull's foundation, correct?
Yeah, Wings for Life. Yep.
Wings for Life, and you've been talking. You were a spokesperson for the Christopher Reeve Foundation. Let's talk about this. So most of the people in the audience, were they in wheelchair, or was it a mixture of both able-bodied people and people in wheelchair?
Most of the time, actually, you'll have some people who have heard about the event getting picked up, like what they're doing. So have obviously some people who are in wheelchairs, but for the most part, it's all able-bodied people. And with the Christopher Reeve Foundation, he's a celebrity. He's a movie star. So a lot of their events they would have would revolve around the audience being people in the celebrity world. And that's kind of, and speaking to them, we're talking about educating them on spinal cord injuries, raising money for spinal cord research, and creating awareness about what is going on with their foundation, with the spinal cord research. Now, on Wings for Life, that is owned by Red Bull. And the mission behind Wings for Life is actually pretty simple. So the owner of Red Bull, he lives in Austria, but his son got paralyzed.
Right.
And so they opened up a foundation called Wings for Life. And their mission is they raise lots of money. And I believe last year they raised, I think, right about $17 million.
Wow.
And they use 100% of their donations, all of that. So Red Bull, they put on huge events, and Red Bull pays for it all. But all the money raised, all their stuff that they do with that, they donate 100% of their donations and the money they raise, and they donate it to spinal cord research that's going on all over the world. Not just one specific one. They have a team. They look into it, find out, all right, this one looks good, and they dab a little money into everywhere because their goal is to find a cure, and that's what Wings for Life is all about. So really cool event, and then obviously as that goes on, they asked me to be an ambassador at events to share what's going on and make something happen.
So because of the main goal that you had of someday being able to walk again, it's led you to a path of being able to meet some tremendous people that you've been able to empower and inspire other folks out in the world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's because of my opportunity to be in the spinal cord research, where it's taken me to is, I've been on platforms that are, actually it's funny things, things that people dream of, it's like they want to be here one day. I want to talk on this stage. I want to do there. Well, I've actually done that. And it's not because of who I am personally. It's because of what I've done and who I'm a part of, like what I represent, like what our mission is. And so it's a really cool opportunity. And once again, it's doing something with these opportunities, which lead to other ones. It's an amazing situation that I've actually been put in for.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. And one of the things that we could shed a little bit of light on is the No Flipping Excuses show is going to be, going around. We're selecting folks that have given us an application with their story, letting us know exactly what they need help with. And what we're doing is we're going to these folks' house and creating the idea that they have and turning it into a reality. Either that being making their kitchen wheelchair friendly, or making their bathroom more wheelchair friendly. Or if somebody has a disability that doesn't allow them to move around into the house properly, we're coming in there and remodeling the home, and we're doing that strictly off of donations. And like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, or the hat, you can go and get that stuff on our noflippingexcuses.com site, and all of the profits are going towards we're putting those towards donations. So we're trying to get you quality t-shirts, hats, whatever you get in our store. It's all top of the line stuff, and all of the profit is turned into donations. And we also put you into for every $5 spent in the store is going to give you one additional entry for every $5 spent into whatever giveaway that we're having. So either home remodel, home giveaway, whatever it might be, because we're going to be having giveaways for a lot of different times on our site. So it's going to be something that you want to frequent. and check out. The other cool thing too here before we start wrapping up, Dustin, is we're going to be having an event here coming up soon, and Dustin's going to be there. He's going to be there talking, and he's going to be delivering a pretty cool speech. Well, I don't want to give it all away, but Dustin, what you're going to be coming, and what's some cool stuff that you can tell folks about what's in store for the future?
Well, like you were saying, I mean, at this event we're going to come, I'll be speaking. I'll be talking about more there'll be the four of us, the team of No Flipping Excuses. You'll get to hear more about where our mission is, what we're doing, and we can dive a lot more into my life. People can understand more about the struggles with someone with a disability. We'll get into some stories, and you'll get to hear more of how this all came together and how it all started. I mean, we'll get a little more details of everything that we've talked about. I mean, kind of like a little sneak peek with this podcast. It's like you said, there's not a lot of time, but we can definitely get a lot more focused in and get diving into the questions that people are really wondering about and how they can become more successful at their businesses as well. So it's going to be a really great event, and people need to be there so they can meet, ask questions, and start helping out, changing their own business to make profit as well.
No, absolutely. It's going to be a really great event. If you listen to the call that I did with Chad McCall, who's part of the No Flipping Excuses team, we kind of went in like what the event's going to be about. But if you want more information about it, you can go to noflippingexcuses.com/event, and that's going to have details about the event and some additional things on how you can, the night before, we're going to have a special little cocktails and hors d'oeuvres session, but it's only going to be for a select few. So you're going to want to check that out. Dustin will be there. It's going to be a really, really great time. So again, noflippingexcuses.com, and then put the little / in there. After / put in event. So type EVENT, and you'll be able to go to our special page there so you can be a part of it. It's going to be a very small, exclusive event. Once we get maxed out on seating, that's it. But again, Dustin's going to be there. It's going to be a really great time. You're going to walk away with deals under contract. Dustin, is there anything like parting words that you want to leave? What's the website to your main foundation?
So for the Dustin Shilcox Foundation, it's dustinshilcox.com, and on that one we'll have a link as well where you can buy stuff in the store, where it'll take you to No Flipping Excuses. I mean, so that's going to be linked together, like you were saying earlier. Donations to the Dustin Shilcox Foundation will correlate and actually go into No Flipping Excuses for us to save money, and we'll use that money to renovate people's homes. So that's another place people can learn more about my story and our mission to changing people's lives. And another thing I want to talk about is,
sure,
even if you want to, maybe yourself, you're not dealing with a disability, maybe you know somebody, you have a family member or a friend, or a friend of a friend who is living with a disability. We encourage people to apply for other people. I mean, obviously you would want to ask that person, and if they're okay with it, fill their name out, tell their story, and apply for the application, because if we draw their name, we're going to help them. And so you could change someone's life just by filling out their applications. It's a simple $2, and like Jason said, for every $5 spent in the store, we'll give you another entry into having their life changed. So, please think about someone else, and if you know them, you might be the person to change their life as well.
No, that's awesome, man. Let's end on that note. We're going to be changing lives, improving people's quality of life, and it's going to be awesome. So make sure dustinshilcox.com. If you would like to come to our upcoming event, make sure you visit noflippingexcuses.com /event. If you would like to reach out to us by phone, the Chief Ninja Officer, Mr. Michael Bretthauer, can take those calls. His number is 317-900-1307. Our email is support@jasonluchese.com. But other than that, thanks for visiting. thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review, or else Dustin will kick your ass with his hands. And also make sure you subscribe to the iTunes channel. Trust me, you do not want to get a headbutt from Dustin. He could do some damage. So other than that, thanks for joining us, Dustin. You've been amazing as usual, my friend. And for everybody listening, thank you. Have a great day. Enjoy it, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening. For show notes and links to anything discussed on today's program, visit noflippingexcuses.com. If you'd like to call the show, dial 317-900-1307, 24/7. Leave a message with your first name and where you're calling from, and include your question, comment, or concern. Who knows? You might end up on the air with Jason Lucchese. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. The links are posted at noflippingexcuses.com. Remember, you can close more deals now, make your own rules, and design and live an amazing life without having some jerk-off boss tell you what to do. Share noflippingexcuses.com with like-minded people you know who are ready for badassery, crushing it in real estate, and enjoying freedom to whatever you like, whenever you like it.